I'm not gonna lie, I was looking forward to showing you guys this one the most. Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash, this is HeroQuest, and this is Warhammer Underworlds BEASTGRAVE. Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash, this is HeroQuest, and this is Warhammer Underworlds BEASTGRAVE. Specifically the 3rd season of, and this is important, the 1st edition. BEASTGRAVE is the ultimate competitive miniatures game, until it was superseded by Diachasm, and then Harrowdeep, and then Nethermaze, and amidst the Stygian terrors of BEASTGRAVE, those who are not predators are prey. So it's like Wall Street. Warhammer Underworlds BEASTGRAVE is an action-packed combat game for 2 players. Gather your warband, enhance your warriors with unique skills and upgrades, and lead them to victory against your foes. Underworlds is set in the Warhammer Age of Sigmar universe. BEASTGRAVE came out in 2019 and contains finely detailed Citadel miniatures. A game should take around 30 minutes, and the box claims ages 12 and up. I think I looked forward to obtaining this one the most for primarily 2 reasons. One, the Chaos Beastmen. They are so metal. Centaurs, I'm not a huge fan of. Never have been a huge fan of Centaurs. Satyrs are really cool. Beastmen, I really like the Beastmen. Now, if they had been fighting the Shadeborn, aesthetically, this would have been such a pleasing box. But the Shadeborn are off fighting the Skaven in Nethermaze, which is equally appealing to me. Anyway, we get a fantastic rulebook, clocking in at 40 pages cover to cover, the Learn to Play book, putting in the volunteer work at 8 pages, a pair of double-sided boards that will equal our playing field, several versions of the same playing field, all of the tokens you could want, all of the tokens you could ask for. 3 pretty simple sheets of tokens, fairly large. These tokens will be placed onto the board to be used as map markers as well as status effect markers, as well as held onto to keep track of glory points and wounds. Games Workshop's long-standing tradition of giving you boxes that don't securely hold anything at all, but just farm aura, is carefully preserved to this day. Where's my finely detailed box, Games Workshop? Why don't you pay Citadel to do those? We get 3 decks of cards with BEASTGRAVE dice. So future sets, at least up until the set where they decided to stop using the magic dice, will all have a set of magic dice. I do wish each season had kind of its own identity in this regard. We've got black, we've got white, and then the magic is like a light blue, and I think they went on with this pattern for some time. But I think the reason that they didn't primarily was so that they could give every warband their own special color of dice, just to provide even more customization and make more money. BEASTGRAVE was also a book. Every season of warbands had its own book, authored by one of the well-known Black Library authors. You can scan this QR code to read the sample chapter free today. Well, it was on the day that this was included in the box. I don't know about after. The rulebook is 40-something pages, right? But about half or better of that is going to be nothing but lore. Paragraphs and pages of lore. Lore detailing the Age of Sigmar. Lore detailing the Beastmen. Lore detailing the BEASTGRAVE. Lore detailing centaurs and the underworlds in general and why everything is the way it is. It is not by any means a difficult game to play. It is not unintuitive to learn. I have many of these unboxing videos and I kind of yap about the rules of Underworlds, but after a while I become a bit self-aware and why I continue teaching the same game, albeit in pieces based on vibes. So I won't be doing that today, but we will look at the magic dice here shortly, and I will just go ahead and show you some of the configurations of these boards when they were tournament legal, which of course everything 1st edition board-wise is not tournament legal now, but none of that matters when you are playing these games in a vacuum, at home, non-tournament at all. The double-sided boards have maps that have their own names and they have their own characteristics, such as different starting hexes and different blocked and trapped hexes. Some of the names of these hex types have changed throughout the seasons and or editions, but if you know what I mean, there will be no need for banal corrections. Actually, Ash, they're not centaurs. You can shut up now. Something I have noticed about myself and my feelings for the artwork for the boards of all Warhammer Underworlds releases, or at least most of the releases. I am not the biggest fan of the placement of the artwork. I don't know if it's just the scale of it, the size of the elements being placed down. If it's a side effect of Age of Sigmar in general, it just feels like nothing really matters. The placement of things doesn't matter. Occasionally you will have something like a hole that is graphically illustrated on the map. I'm not pointing to a hole here. Let's point to something like this, and they will have added a hex over it, and that makes sense, and I like it. Something like this, a blocked hex, seems to be something that is protruding up and out of the map, although it's not immediately obvious how this really differs from its surrounding tiles. Without the bright white outline, I wouldn't have considered that a blocked hex. I see some protrusions, but really more than anything, I'm just being pedantic and being picky. I'm just explaining that the artwork, to me, it feels a little bit meaningless. It almost feels like it just really doesn't matter. They just needed some art placed down for their hex grid overlay to be on top of, and that's that. I would love to see the design notes for the artwork for the boards. I would love to kind of know what the design process is supposed to be like. What is supposed to be conveyed from the ground up with these? Our 3 decks will be for the 2 warbands, Grashok's Despoilers, as well as Skaith's Wild Hunt. Our 3rd deck contains extra cards, which advises you not to open until you have played a few games, because it includes extra objective cards and power cards that you can use to construct new decks for each warband. In that, this skirmish game, the ultimate competitive miniatures game, becomes a little bit of a deck builder, and just to say a little bit, but it's a lot of bit of a deck builder. The magic dice did not make it onto the fighter cards. Instead, you will make use of the magic dice when instructed to on various ability cards, such as Vicious Darts here. At Carthan's call, the motes of life magic in Beastgrave coalesce into barbed projectiles that fly toward his foes. This has a range of 3 hexes. Let's see, Carthan. That would be our bard. Wah, wah, wah. That was the sound that the horn made. This has a range of 3. 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3. Carthan could attack and feasibly hit or at least reach any of these 5 enemy fighters. It has a magical swirl of minus and a hit of 1. I don't know what that means yet, though. I don't think I've looked at magic dice on the channel before. We have 3 outcomes. There are 2 swirl phases. There are 3 crazy lightning bolt phases. And there is 1 critical success phase. This action has ensnare. On a critical hit, this attack action has +1 damage. It is restricted, I believe, to the magic-using character. I think that's what that means. I was looking for a keyword like magician or wizard. Not sure why it would be magician. It's never magician. Well, I found a few more of these magic cards in the Grashok's Despoilers deck. Bestile Vigor, primal magic swirl across the battlefield, driving the herd towards their foe. The Gambit spell, if cast, friendly fighters have +2 move in the next activation. Savage Bolt, seething energy crashes into the enemy, tearing at their flesh and driving them from their feet. This has a 3 range, a minus on the swirl, and attack of 1, damage of 1. Eldritch Haze, a morbid fume surrounds the caster, choking any foe that dares approach. Is that Gilgas Pust? Gambit spell, Swirl. If cast, the caster has +1 defense. The spell persists until the end of the round or until the caster is taken out of action. I mentioned there being 2 reasons that I was looking forward to this the most. And the second reason, other than the awesome Beastman sculpts that we'll be looking at here shortly, wasn't even thinking about the magic dice, to be honest, is that you can't get these sculpts in any re-release of Warhammer, Underworlds related anyway. They're original, whereas if I get almost any other core set, I'm going to have doubled up assets because I have managed to get the most at this point of the Grand Alliance 4-packs of warbands. And nearly all of the core sets at this point have 1 warband that I already have. Although if I get it, I suppose it's fine because then I'll be getting that warband's 1st edition cards for the fighter cards, which I am trying to collect everything, so that's not bad. It just means I end up with extra models, which I guess I can then sell. The magic dice's faces are critical success, magic symbol channel, and magic symbol focus. I've talked about the combat dice before, so I won't do that here today again. But it looks like magic is not covered in the how to play guide, so we'll have to go to the full rulebook for that. The mountain, they say, is vast. So high does it tower that it can be seen from all across Gore, or so legend tells. No matter where one stands, one need only stare out to the far horizon, and there is the mountain, dark and ominous, staring back. This is the Ur Pinnacle, the impossible mountain, the stone-wrought god. This is BEASTGRAVE, and its shadow stretches cold and long. In ancient days, there were those who dwelt within the mountain, or so it is told. They did not fear its hunger. They did not dread the cold darkness in its heart, the slow closing of its amber jaws, or the hot air drip of its gnawing bile. Some say they sang to the mountain in voices of broken stone. Others tell how they soothed its wrath through the etching of strange sigils, or with offerings of bloodied gold. Others still believe they were the mountain's soul, that they were born of its stones, and to its stones they returned. Whatever the truth, the silent people are long vanished into the drifting smoke of the age of chaos. Now the mountain stands alone, but it is far from empty. Rumors spread like seeds upon the wind. They settle within the minds of the avaricious and the bold, and there they blossom into courage, greed, or desperation. Some say they see BEASTGRAVE in their dreams, feel the dark cold of its shadow enfold them as bestial eyes gaze into their souls. Others hear the clash of battle, or perhaps they catch the light of Hysh glinting in the distance from the mountain slopes. Whatever their reasons, they come, creeping into the tunnels and caves. There they fight against ravening beasts, one against another, against themselves. So many have fallen, unmourned in the impenetrable depths, yet now a curse spreads through the shadows, something new and unnatural trailing cold and cracking fingers along the tunnel walls. What dies in BEASTGRAVE no longer stays dead, and those lost rise to fight again. Cool. Book is full of artwork, lovingly illustrated by who did this? I don't think we get that kind of credits section. I told you this book was full of lore. We have Rumors of Riches Lost, The Silent People, The Labyrinth Below. We have sections for the Grim Watch and Rippa's Snarlfangs. This explains the Katophrane Curse. You know, they say what happens in Shadespire stays in Shadespire, but that is a lie. What happened in Shadespire essentially is spreading throughout the 8 realms. Skaith's Wild Hunt and Grashrak's Despoilers. Then we get an introduction, finally, on page 12 of the actual game. The anatomy of the fighter cards, the other cards, the decks. We go with restrictions, gambit cards, upgrade cards, objective cards, keywords, the battlefield, edge hexes, occupied hexes, empty hexes, place feature and lethal hex tokens, draw cards. Oh, sorry. These are the steps to set up. The game sequence is set up, choose your warbands, place the boards, place feature and lethal hex tokens, draw cards, place the fighters. Then you get round 1, the action phase and the end phase. Round 2, action phase and end phase. Then round 3, action phase, end phase, victory. Because after round 3, the game is over. You don't just keep going till somebody kills the entire opposing warband. Everything leads to Mordheim. Everything leads to Mordheim. This explains the action phase, the move action, and the attack action. Line of sight, the combat sequence. By the way, in BEASTGRAVE, in this diagram, Skaith, who would be in the, here we go, this hex right here, not the white hex, because that is giving you a blocked hex. Skaith has line of sight to all hexes labeled A, but does not have line of sight to any of the hexes labeled B. So here he is, he can see this, yes, you can see through / past fighters, this and this, but not any of these 3, they are blocked. Damage, out of action, support, attack action keywords, charge actions, guard actions, spells. Now this is what I wanted to know about. Spells in Warhammer Underworlds come in 3 forms. As gambit cards, gambit spells can only be played when there is a friendly wizard on the battlefield. That is, a fighter with the staff and, or I guess I could say scepter, not really sure what the technical term is for that symbol, on their fighter card. Each time you play a gambit spell, you must choose a friendly wizard to attempt to cast it, as described to the right. On fighter cards and upgrade cards, as actions or reactions that your fighter can make, a wizard with a spell action can attempt to cast it, as described to the right. And on fighter cards and upgrade cards as attack actions. So, long story short, they can be cast as gambit cards, on fighter cards and upgrade cards as actions or reactions that your fighter can make, and on fighter cards and upgrade cards as attack actions. Spell attack actions can be used by a fighter in the same way as other attack actions. Spells have a casting value. This will be a number of channel or focus or critical success symbols. The casting value for a gambit spell will be denoted by, for example, gambit spell or gambit spell. Gambit spell with a swirly or with 2 channels. The casting value for a spell action on a fighter card or upgrade card will be denoted by, for example, spell action, and then the symbol for that. So earlier we were looking at cards that had the swirly and a dash, and I think that meant just roll any number. Roll any number of them, and you probably have to roll all 3 of the magic dice when making that test. When you attempt to cast the spell, you must roll the magic dice. This is called the casting roll. The number of magic dice you roll is equal to the wizard level of the wizard casting the spell. If there are 2 or more... Wait, whoa. Okay. Equal to the wizard level. What does that mean? So if I go through Groshrock's Despoilers, Groshrock is the only one with that symbol on the fighter card, and I guess that's his wizard level. He's a wizard level 1. All right, okay. So what if we go to Sketh's Wild Hunt? Sketh is a wizard level 2. All right, no, that's not Sketh. That's Carthin. Carthin is wizard level... Oh no, I'm sorry, he's wizard level 1 as well. When inspired, this becomes a 2. When Groshrock is inspired, his wizard level becomes a 2. Does anybody gain a wizard level after inspiring? No, nobody just becomes a wizard. You have to have started out as one. Wow, it's just like real life. The number of magic dice you roll is equal to the wizard level of the wizard casting the spell. If there are 2 or more critical successes in the casting roll, the wizard suffers backlash. They are dealt 1 damage, as the magical forces they are channeling threaten to overwhelm them. If this damage takes the wizard out of action, the spell fails. If they survive, or if the wizard does not suffer backlash, count the number of successes in the casting roll, and dice that match the symbols on the casting value and criticals are successes. If you roll at least as many successes as the casting value, the spell has been cast. This means you can resolve it. If you do not roll enough successes, the spell fails, and, in the case of a gambit, it is discarded. Unlike other spells, spell attack actions do not have a casting value. A spell attack action is cast if the attack action succeeds, and otherwise it is not cast and it fails. Alright, so that makes sense. Then I guess we have 3 magic dice because it's quite possible that there are upgrade cards that allow your wizard to upgrade a level. I would like to prove that. We have a gambit spell here in Devolve. Skirmisher, Blinding Attack, Dogged Survivor, Endless Hatred, Heedless of Pain, Healing Breeze, that's a gambit spell. Pounce, Song of Swiftness, Eye of Kurnoth, Hunting Aspect, that's a really good card. Kurnoth's Mark, Confusion, Marked, Sidestep, Great Speed, Predatory Instinct, and Predatory Instinct. No, those are all the extras. Nothing in there to increase your magic level, your wizard level. Vicious Darts, Cry of the Wild, Kurnoth's Snare, Purifying Rites. These are objective cards, actually, so they're probably not going to increase your wizard level in the slightest. Binding Wind, that is a gambit spell. If cast, choose an enemy fighter within 4 hexes of the caster. Give that fighter a move token. So the Binding Wind is going to keep that enemy from moving. I like that. Fleet of Foot, Hunt in Concert, Might of Kurnoth, Retrieve Javelin, That which was made to kill must kill. Strike in Concert, Swift as the Wind, Battle Cry, Divine Strength, Fast Shot, Great Strides, Hail Charm, Shield Slash, Eldritch Haze, Sidestep, Snare, Caltrops, love that one, Great Fortitude, and Great Strength. Those are the Sketh's Wild Hunt cards. We'll look at Groshrock's Despoilers cards, and then we'll look at the miniatures. Groshrock, Fellhoof. Oh, these are the fighter cards. We'll look at those with the miniatures. Blood Ritual, Conquerors, Despoilers, Proven Superiority, Stampede, Survival of the Fittest, Annihilation. Hold Objective 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Baying Anger, Baying Hatred, Berserk Bellow, love that. Blood Taunt, Vile Invaders, Weight of Numbers, Blood Crazed, Cursed Flint, Jabbing Spear, Sorcerer's Trinket, Trophy Taker, Confusion, Snare, Caltrops, Great Fortitude, Great Speed, Great Strength, Eldritch Haze, Bestyle of Vigor, and Savage Bolts. Okay, it's miniature time. You get 11 miniatures with this game. It's a lot. Feels like a lot. Carthian Hunt Collar. This has the Hunter keyword. This is Carthian inspired. Guess we'll show the back end of the miniature while they're inspired. This one's ridiculous. It's so dramatic. Sheoth Kurnoth Tracker, a hunter, and Sheoth inspired, and the miniature for this character is just so dramatic. I have to complain though. This one? No, it wasn't this one. Actually, yeah, you can see that little white stress line right there on the miniature, on this bit of stick on the ground. Right below that is the peg that pushes into the base, and the peg is just a little bit further in than that bit of foliage, so it was really hard to get a good spot to grip and push down without making that stress line. I probably could have avoided it if I was being hyper-focused on avoiding it, but it kind of took me by surprise. Just such a dramatic pose for this character. Lighain the Malkin, and Ligan inspired. Here it is, kitty kitty kitty. Bit of a bramble tail, kind of tiny features, not my favorite sculpt. Only one point of contact on the base, and that's all it really needs, but still feels like it's gonna break if I look at it wrong. Now this is what I want to see when I think of elves in Warhammer. Altheon, the Carnothi tracker, is a hunter, and this is Altheon inspired. Hair for days, just arching upwards in the most diabolically dramatic manner. There's just also a sort of a hint of a tail, and yes, I know they're not elves. They're Altheon, whatever that means. They have little satyr hooves, deer hooves, but still, they've got that classic Warhammer Fantasy dark elf hair that I so love. I know that's not what these are. I know this isn't the Age of Sigmar version of that specific race of characters. Finally, and I saved the best for last with this warband, Skaith the Huntsman and Skaith Inspired. This is Skaith. It is a grand miniature, 60mm oblong base. Lots of pieces on this one, lots and lots to put together. Not enough to make the sprue any bigger, no, but again, another dramatic pose. These guys are all about the drama. When you put them on the battlefield, they are going to create a rich diorama, basically. So this particular game, I did not acquire brand new. I actually got the box and all the stuff in it, but it was missing its rulebook and its assembly instructions. And I really wanted the rulebook, so I sought eBay for just the rulebook, and the rulebook came with some other parts. So I have a lot of doubles of stuff for this. Tokens, maps, and cards. But it didn't have the miniatures and didn't have the box, so it was a really good price, and I obtained it, and then I found out that the assembly instructions weren't in that at all. So, full disclosure, I actually was able to assemble all of the miniatures you see here without assembly instructions. I know, it seems impossible. But I just followed that there was a convention, sort of, or at least with most of the warbands I've put together for Underworlds, wherein it goes part, base. The base is usually like the last numbered part. I say usually because there are exceptions to that. But if I snipped out base and base had part 5 on the sprue, then I knew I could get parts 1 through 4 and try to suss out how to put them together. And that dwindled the amount of remaining parts down until I had all my fighters done. It took a little bit longer doing it that way, but I have to say it was kind of fun, and it was really rewarding to be able to do that without instructions at all. And it just so happened that there were no weird bits on any of these that didn't make any sense. And now I'm starting to wonder if all of that was in my mind anyway. Like, I never needed the instructions all along. The assembly instructions were in my heart. The friends that I made along the way. This is Korsh, the sneak, who has the hunter keyword, and this is Korsh inspired, although you'd never know. He's got that resting ooga booga face. Here is Korsh's mini. It looks a little bit more inspired. It's coming out of hiding. I like the details on the Beastmen a lot. I really like their whole aesthetic. It's just put together absolutely anything you can if you want to wear it as the bare minimum of clothing, and then run around with just whatever you have constructed as a weapon, as long as it draws lots of blood and you can be this bloodthirsty animal man. You are set for chaotic life. Next up, we've got Ushkor, who is also a hunter and Ushkor inspired. Ushkor is the archer of the group, holding a great big old arrow in their jaws. They have their bow knocked, drawn, halfway anyways, and we actually see bowstring, which I really appreciate with these miniatures. I think most of the miniatures I've put together that have bows in the Underworlds line have bowstrings. You just don't hardly ever see that, and once you do start seeing it, you wonder why there are any miniatures that don't have them. Harkens me back to a silly set of comments exchange that I had with somebody over whether or not the quiver on the back of a particular orc sculpt was a quiver. Murghoth the Half-Horn is next, and there's plenty of stats here that change when you flip over to the inspired side. This is Morgoth's miniature. Probably less important gameplay-wise, given that the cards pretty much dictate everything you can and cannot do. How do these beastmen live with such cake? The pose here is really cool. Knife sort of edged up against the chest in a sort of I challenge you and I'm bad enough to not care if I hurt myself, drawing blood in my threats. We've got Draknaw and Gnarl, and then pow, we have Draknaw and Gnarl inspired, and that inspires me. I'm going to show you Gnarl's miniature first. Another pose I really love, very much a come at me bro, or maybe it's a hey where are my hugs at, it just depends on your perspective really. More bowstring, fingers outstretched, musculature in the hand visible. The stone sort of axe here, really love that, and the quiver of arrows, and the quiver is highly detailed also. This is how you do details on miniatures, folks. Draknar, I'm actually not going to show you yet because he's my favorite sculpt of this warband. We will go on to Grashrak Fellhoof. This is the leader of this warband, your leader, who is also the wizard, and his sculpt is awesome. I mean, it's amazing. He's the leader. He has the biggest horns. He's got the drapery over the face. He looks like a classic beastman in a lot of ways. Except for maybe the horn shape. And then he's got this really long, I believe this would be a stang, maybe? Maybe not quite, as well as a second thing. It looks like a very long ritual dagger. I would have said staff, but then when I held it off to the side, and then I can see what I was initially mistaking for as sort of wood branching texture, whatever. This is actually blood dripping off. Or I guess it could be some other liquid, but yeah, blood's kind of the obvious on the nose choice there. This is Draknar, and he has the just bestest pose, bestest everything in terms of features, everything at all. The axe is the best axe. It even has a very helpful arrow on it to let you know which way it needs to be pointed so that you can chop off heads, and that is exactly what this miniature has done. We have a beheaded foe, hair grasped in his fist, his bestial horns stretch outward and slope up. It is a really cool pattern, and you can see the texture in the horns. Very hyped for this miniature. Most of the chaos sort of characters will absolutely HeroQuest, even if their bases encroach a little bit, because then you can call them boss monsters in that game. But that, more or less, is BEASTGRAVE. It is important to note that the magic dice did not get introduced in this season. The magic dice were actually introduced in the season before Night Vault. All right, I mean, I guess that's important, if that's the sort of thing that's important for you to know. I appreciate very much your kind attention to this matter. It's very important. It's BEASTGRAVE. I'll be sorting through my stuff soon enough to get rid of doubles, and then I suppose I'll be listing them on some auctioning website or another. These first edition random lots seem to go for close to nothing, which is totally fine. That's exactly what I would like to release it back out into the world for. And if I can't do it for close to nothing, I'll just do it for nothing. I'll just drop them off at the dono store. Whoever decides to buy it one day and knows what it is will be happy. This game also came with a lot of Ziploc bags, and this will be the last thing you see. You fool. Nice argument. Unfortunately, I've already Ziplocked you. And that's where you'll stay until the next video.